Hello class. In this presentation, you're going to learn how to use R.A.C.E to answer text-dependent questions. So I want you to take this time to write down the title in your ELA notebook. Make sure that you write the entire title. Make sure it has a page number and make sure it is listed in your table of contents. You can pause this video now to do that. So in 6th grade, you are going to be answering questions that are text dependent. And just like the name suggests, there are questions that you have to use the text for. But we also have a strategy to answer those text dependent questions so that you're not just rambling and so that it is in a very, very structured way. That is called R.A.C.E. So when you do R.A.C.E, you restate the question, you answer the question, you cite evidence from the text, and you explain how the evidence supports your answer. So at this time, I want you to write this acronym all alongside your paper. It should fill up the whole paper, and make sure you write the entire phrase next to it. You can pause the video now to do that. So let's talk about the R, the restate the question. When you restate the questions, that means that you take away the words that make it a question and make it into a statement. So for example, in the question, what color is the sky? The words that make it a question would be what and is. So you would say, the color of the sky is blue. Where did you go for vacation this year? You would take out where did you, and you just would say, I went to Disney World for vacation this year. How many states have you visited? How many? And then I have visited 12 states. Who is your favorite teacher? Who is, and then my favorite teacher is, it says Mrs. She, whatever that name is, but it should say Mr. Moreno. So basically, when you restate the question, you are just eliminating the words that are questions and putting it into a statement. For the answer portion of restate, so you are going to figure out what is the question asking. Make sure you answer the question. Stay focused to the question. A lot of times, students like to go away from the question and not really truly answer it. The answer may come in the first sentence of your restate the question into a statement. So it could be in the first sentence as well. But in an extended response question, you will need to show how and why you arrive at your answer. And we'll see that in the explain part. So in the answer, when you restate the question, you're going to answer it. The next thing you do is cite. This means you tell me where in the passage or where in the text you got it from. That could be page number if it's a book. That could be a paragraph if it's in a short story. So you will either answer with a direct quote, which means it comes directly from the text. You're not changing any words, or with a paraphrase, and in which you're putting it in your own words. I want you to write these two in your next to the C or below the C in your notebook. You may pause a video to do that. So let's say that you are going to cite evidence with a direct quote. When you give a direct quote from the passage to back your ideas, you must place the text in quotation marks. So the narrator says, quotation, as men busied themselves about their various concerns, end quotation. You would do that because you're not using your word, you're using the author's words. If you're going to cite evidence with paraphrase, you may put a few lines in your own words. So be careful not to pass off the writer's ideas as your own. You have to say that the writer says or the narrator says, and then you put it in your own word. You're not going to just put it in your own words and act as if it was your words. So the example says, the narrator says that people were going back about their usual lives. So they didn't use the text, or they did use the text, but they didn't use the exact words that it used. So the E in race is explain how the evidence supports your answer. So in addition to the evidence you've cited from the text, you will need to supply your own reasoning for why you think the answer is correct and how your evidence supports or helps your answer. So I think this shows that, or this, some other ones is, are, this is because, and then you explain, or this shows, okay? So then you explain your answer. Okay, so it says, describe the main character from the passage. Tell about how the character traits make her a special person. So here are how you would answer it using the different types. So here is restate. Tracy is the main character in the passage. You are answering the question. And then it says, the author explains Tracy is a good friend, and she is always there to make when her friends need someone to talk to. So there they are citing having this quality makes you a good friend, and then they are explaining. Here's another one. The passage states, so here is a direct quote, and they're pulling this directly from the text, and then they explain it. And then here is an example of how they're doing it. They're citing two things, and then they're explaining those two things. So your citation can be more than one citation. So at this time, I want you to go to the practice section, and look at the workbook and do those questions and practice answering using race in your ELA notebook.